In the beginning, the earth was perfect in its form. Forged from powder, brass, and empty magazines, bullets grew from scorched, burnished turf like grass, and trees made of cannon and shells sprung branches of rifles, from which leaves of pistols swayed when the carbonic air flew in bursts of muzzle wind. Rivers of lubricant oil flowed underground, surging through explosions of white phosphorus and depleted uranium. Clouds of CS and mustard gas drifted through the sky, occasionally raining down upon the metallic creatures whose bodies were crafted from gas blocks, barrels, and springs held together with rails, whose movements were powered by the constant detonation of cartridges loaded into their sections of their form. There was fire, and light, and heat, and choking death, and from these man was formed. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Life was brought upon the earth from the providence of the stars, and where a star fell to earth, life began as a shadow, and the light and flame. Alone it bore unto itself two children, who bore children of their own, and they found to their liking the warmth of the fire, and the purity of the light. The shadow took forms, each child finding itself, and seeking again the light and warmth the star from which they came. From this shadow were begot the life of the world, born again and again into the burning crucible, forged into hard living forms by the dangers of this world. No longer mere shadows, they hungered as beasts, and grew fangs and claws to rend their prey. Born again and again, each forebearer begot grander children, or they were broken upon the anvil of this world. From these came man, and he saw beyond this cycle, his eyes gazing towards the light, seeking the truth of the stars. It was not man who first saw this path, for all creatures strive towards it blindly, hunting, seeking, their very fiber drawn towards this light. But it was man who first strode upon the path with his intent in mind, and so he was begotten with children, and given dominion across the land. And from then hands of men were born great works, expressions of their quest to seek the truth, to seek perfection. Man howled into the fire of this world, casting himself against every land, every danger, his will indomitable, unbroken by ice, nor fire, nor mountain, nor sea, and he was pleased. But then a child of man claimed answers, claimed to have sought and found the truth. His words, falsehood spoken out of delusion of deceit, bore a seed of doubt within mankind. As soon many others spoke of truths, of answers, and man bore anger against man, his hands raised, his weapons drawn for war. The slaughter killed many, and the cycle of war, of deceit and doubt, and of death brought man again to the level of mere beasts, casting them away from the path towards truth, towards the star from whence it came. It is this cycle that must be broken for a man to be free, and a man is only free when he sheds the lies of others, when he may bring to himself the means of his own life, and protect it from those who would take it, be they beast or man. It is this that must be held above all else, not as a truth, but as the surest way to seek it upon firm ground. For to seek the truth is the mission of every child of man, not to find it, or to keep it, or to hold it, but to tread upon the path which leads us ever closer towards it. And in this quest, every child of man must ready himself to protect his journey, and the journey of others, with the words, with their will, and with the weapons of war. For to stand as a temple, a paragon of the path to truth and light is the truest form of virtue, not to kill for the sake of it, but to instead protect in its name. To be as a temple to the path to truth, one must take their body and mind ready for this journey every day. The body must be swift and supple, great in its strength and keen in its use of the weapons of war. The mind must be equally strong, yet open and seeking, always looking for the untraveled, the unspoken, the unknown, for it is within these that the path towards the truth most often lies. and the truth, the star, now hath found itself in our hands, as we were once in its hands. Nex Alia, the truth, the star, the murder cube, Gunfather, Allslayer, Godbreaker, Monolith, Adipimac, Mixcoatl, Bellatricatros, Guan Yu, Horus, Ares, Kali, Belus, Lua. Doubtless, it has gone by many names, most of which have been lost the ages. It is a universal constant, materializing at some point in every society's history, vanishing only when every living creature on its host world has ceased to exist. It demands that violence occur, without heed to reason, scale, or consequence. It is never appeased, and cannot be destroyed. Nex Alia is a culmination of all human conflict, strife, and warfare that has ever occurred or ever will occur. It tells stories of death, murder, and vicious fighting, of honor and chivalry, of treason and betrayal, of humanity. It does not require worship. It does not want your adulation. The true form of Nex Alia is a gigantic cube composed of all the weapons of man, everything from the first club to the most recently loaded round of ammunition. All of these are represented in bombs and rifles, which are interspersed by tanks, aircraft, even the nuclear warheads of the world are there. Anything that ever was used or created to do harm and make war is there, recorded in the monolithic, prismatic bulk. If one were to enter into Nex Alia through the thousands of irregular fissures and grottos on its sides, they would find a labyrinth of progressively older and older weapons the further they explored, and the mind heat of all the accumulated hate of man would grow hotter and hotter as the walls pressed in, festooned with all the blades and armors of history. The center of the core is composed of crude spears and clubs that radiate malice and fury, and no man has seen deeper. It is said that the very center is a stone, perhaps the one Cain used to crush the skull of Abel, but whatever it is kicked off millions of years of violence and is the seed of the All-Slayer. Men do not design weapons. The monolith, lacking the physical capability to create them itself, projects its will into its chosen. The prophets, whose holy creations allow the monolith's intentions to propagate through the violence of man. These prophets are true followers, the cube's humble subjects, the unseen hands of the All-Slayer. They dream deeply of smoke and steel, ash and sword. They are the hands of the monolith, the keepers of truth. They, the cube's faithful, speak the truth. The monolith speaks not of the whys, the whos, or even the whens. These things are unknowable. The cube speaks the great truth, that in man there is still a spark of the star from whence he came. The cube brings us the truth and leaves it to us to accept it and be saved, or discard it and be regulated to destruction by the very fire and light that gave us life. The murder cube is not a religion. It cannot be defined or described in its entirety, not without your soul as its price. It is most accurately termed as the transference of divine lethal knowledge. To those who have successfully gleaned information from the cube, horrible visions of unimaginable violence have also accompanied the knowledge. When contracting with the cube, one gambles with his mental fortitude, for Nex Alia, with all its eternal power, is far mightier than thee, O mortal. If it deems thee unworthy, Nex Alia shall sweep thee aside like so much waving grass before the scythe, rendering thy sanity unto dust. Nex Alia, the cube of truth, the eternal death bringer, is all that has been and will be. It is all. It is. It is. Have you listened to the whispers, mortal? Does the truth ring out to thee yet? For mankind to make war, it must possess the means to do so. Therefore, the banning or confiscation of weapons is a denial of the nature of man, a pathetic attempt to avert the violence innate to mankind, an insult to the sacred creed of the murder cube. The banishment of weapons is an instrument of the weak to subvert the strong, and such an unnatural usurpation cannot be abided by those who have heard the truth of the monolith. And so we honor the cube through our actions, keeping our minds, bodies, and blades sharp. We make or buy instruments of war. with which we complete the sanctifying rituals which strengthen the cube. We maintain and honor our weapons, keeping their blades sharp and their barrels oiled. Our weapons are gifts, the children of Nex Alea, and as such deserve the utmost respect. We enable and encourage others to take up arms, training them in the use and maintenance of their weapons, to glorify and empower Nex Alea with the strength of man's warrior spirit.